So today we are going to focus on the DAX language. And remember, DAX is not only for Power BI. So DAX works on different Microsoft products, but only Microsoft products. It works on Power BI. It works on Microsoft Analysis Services, which is basically SQL Server. Then it works on Power Pivot for Excel. And they all use the same engine called the Tabular engine. So we know what DAX is. It is a different engine for calculations that is used by Excel, Power BI, and SQL Server. If you want to read more about it, you can see the official documentation. So if you just type DAX Power BI, and you can see that the official documentation is there on the Microsoft website. So you can have a look at it. Even if there is some lag, I mean, I know if it's unbearable, then I can't help it. But I'm assuming that it's not too bad. Even if it is, and you miss out some of the topics that I'm covering, in any case, I'll be sharing the recording with you, so you can always watch that. Right? So let's get started. So I'll open Power BI. And like we did on day number 1 and day number 2, I'll connect it to the same data set that we were working on. So we'll connect it to our Superstore data. So far, nothing special. It is a single Excel file. If any of you were not there the last 2 days, you can see that it's just a simple sales data. What we have is about 10,000 records for a company that is selling 3 product categories in the United States. So we have technology, we have accessories. So let me just show you, and we have office supplies. So there are 3 categories that I'm selling in multiple cities and multiple states in the US. And I have the sales quantity, discount, profit. And the data is for 4 years. So we have 2013, 14, 15, and 16. Okay, now the first thing I'm going to do is, because I want to use DAX and I want to build calculations, I have to create something called a date table. Most of you would not have heard of this earlier, but it is called a date table. And if you notice, this is not just something used for Power BI, it is a database fundamental. So any database that you're working on, you first have to create a date table. And what is it? It is a table that meets the following requirements. It must have a column of a date type, obviously, and the date column must contain unique values, right? It's nothing special. It's just a column that has all the dates in it. For example, I have the sales data from the 1st of January, and if I sort it in descending, you would notice till the 31st of December 2016. So for 4 calendar years. But what is the problem? The problem is that I don't have a column with every single date in it. That means that you notice 1st and 2nd is not there. Then if I keep on scrolling down, you notice the 8th of January is not there. Now we know it is not there because transactions have not happened on that date. But it doesn't matter. When you're working with a date table, you will have to make sure that you have a date for every single calendar date. That means that it doesn't matter if a transaction happened on that day or not. You need to have a column with every single calendar date in a chronological order. So what I'll do is I will go to my data view, and here I will select, please look everyone, I have an option called new table where my cursor is highlighted. And new table is nothing, it's basically a table that you're creating. But we're not going to put the values manually one by one. We're going to make a date table using a DAX expression. And how do we do this? So when we click on new table, you notice that it asks me to write a formula like this. Right now it is completely blank. So what will I do? I'll say that my date table is equal to what? My date table is equal to calendar. The calendar function is not available on Excel. It is only there on Power BI. What does it do? It returns a table with one column which has different dates between the start date and the end date. So that's what I'm going to do. But how do I know what my start date is? So I'll find the minimum of my order date, and then I'll find the maximum of my order date. Right, everyone? I hope this makes sense. We're finding the minimum of the order date and we're finding the maximum of the order date. And then we're creating a calendar. So when I press enter, you will notice we get dates from the 3rd of January all the way up till the 30th of December. But between the 3rd of January and the 30th of December, every single date has been plotted. So you notice these 1458 rows are there. That means there are 1458 days between the start date and the end date. We don't need the time value because it's all 12 a.m. midnight. So I'm just going to change this to only a date format because we don't really need the time with us. Now what will happen is that if I go back to my original report, and like we did yesterday, I try to create a column chart with my order date and my sales amount. You would notice that it's working perfectly, correct? And you might wonder, okay, but if this is already working, then why did we need to create a date table? It's a little difficult to explain that, but you just have to take my word for it. Whenever you create DAX calculations using time functions, you have to create a date table. So what do we do? You notice we have two tables here. We have our sales data and we have our date table. So we'll just connect our order date to our date like this. Why is it one and why is it many? Because in the date table, every date is unique, which means it is appearing only one time. Obviously, in the sales data, a date can appear maybe 0 times or it can appear multiple times. That is why you have a many here. Now something has gone wrong. You notice that this is not working properly. And you know why? If you look carefully, my order date is not a date anymore. You notice my shipping date is a date, but my order date is not a date. Do you see this? There's no calendar icon. Ship date has an icon. Order date does not have an icon. Why not? Because we have already connected it to the other date. So I'll remove it and I'll select the date from here. Now you will not see any difference. It will look exactly the same like it was looking earlier. And what's the big deal? What we have accomplished is the ability to create calculations now. So let me give you a small example. Okay, watch carefully. I will expand and I'll looking at all the quarters, right? So 4 years into 4 quarters, 16 columns. In my format, I'll also make the data label so I can see the numbers as well. So I can see 74,000, 86,000, 143,000, 179, and so on and so forth. What do we want? I want to see what is the change quarter over quarter. That means from Q1 to Q2, what was the increase? From Q4 to Q1, what was the decrease? Fair enough. I can right click on my sales column and I will click on new quick measure. A measure is just another term for a calculation that you do on DAX. So I'll say new quick measure. And what Microsoft has done here is it has given you lots of calculations inbuilt. So do you see this? You have so many different calculations which have been pre-written for you so that you don't have to do it yourself. What do we want? We want to select a time intelligence calculation, which is a quarter over quarter change. And similarly, you have YOY, MOM, rolling average, month to date, and so on and so forth, correct? So if I select my quarter over quarter change, see what will happen. It asks me what is the base value, which is sales, what is the date. I'll select my date and I'll press OK. What this does is it creates a new calculation called sales QOQ percentage, like this. Now, this is where Power BI is trying to help you. If you knew how to write this calculation yourself, then you don't need to create a measure, correct? But then why do you need to do a calculation every single time? The formula is not going to change. The fundamentals, the arguments in the formula remain the same, correct? You just have to choose the value and the date. That is what we're doing. Our value is sales and our date is date table date, like this, right? Now let's understand how is this working. It's not very complicated. Just try to understand. Just look at this part for now. You can ignore the other part. What we are doing is I'm calculating what is the sales of the previous quarter. That means if I'm looking at quarter two, which is 86,000, I have to compare 86 to the previous quarter, which is 74. Now, how do I know what is the Hi, I'm really sorry. I think it's just one of those days. Internet really seems to be troubling me a lot today. Um, could you just confirm, please? Is the screen and the audio clear now? Anyone? Great. Thanks, everyone. And thanks for the patience as well. All right. So let's come back. What are we doing? We want to compare Q2 against Q1. So I'm finding what is the previous quarter. Fair enough. So far, so good. Now, how do I know what is the previous quarter? What I'm doing is I'm telling that I want to do a date add. What does it do? It is a very nice function which allows you to move the given set of dates by a specified interval. That means I'm sitting on quarter two, but I want to look at quarter one. That means I want to go minus one quarter to the previous quarter. That is what date add is doing. And if you notice, that's what I did. I went back. What is my interval? Quarter, because I wanted to go back a quarter. And how many quarters? One quarter. If I did minus three, what will happen? It will go back three quarters. Fair enough? Now, once I go back one quarter, what do we want to find? We want to find our sales value, obviously. So this entire part is doing nothing. It is calculating. That's why it's called calculate. It is calculating the total sales for the previous quarter, right? So I know that Q1 is a certain number. I already know what Q2 is because I'm sitting on Q2. So what do I do finally? I will divide. How do you find the change? You say current minus previous divided by previous, right? For example, February minus January divided by January. That's what we're doing. We are saying my numerator is the total sales for the current quarter, which is Q2 minus previous quarter, which is Q1, divided by, this is the denominator, divided by the previous quarter. I know you will not understand it 100% in the first go. Even if you practice this 5-10 times, you will not understand it perfectly. It takes a lot of practice to really understand how all of these things work. You have to understand the theory and the fundamentals, plus you have to practice a lot yourself, right? But I hope that at least you are following it broadly. Like at least now you know what DAX looks like. You know that, okay, DAX has certain functions that are very powerful, but these functions are new. They are not available on Excel. They're only available on DAX. So broadly, if I had to explain to somebody in one line, what am I doing? I would say, or let's say one paragraph, I would say, I wanted to find the QOQ change. So I want to find the sales of the previous quarter. For that, I'm using date add. Once I know the sales of the previous quarter, then I'm using a divide function to divide current minus previous quarter divided by the previous quarter. That means, what is this? Q2. What is this? Q1. What is this? Q1. If I'm looking at Q3, then I'm saying, what is this? This is Q3. This is previous quarter, which is Q2. This is Q2, like this. That is the idea. This is just an error handler, which means that it says that if somebody has filtered the report in an improper way, then the result will not come. That is what it is doing. It is saying if filtered, that means if somebody has returns true when there are direct filters on the specified column. If somebody has applied a filter on the column, then sometimes the calculation might not work. If you notice, this part can be removed. We don't really need it. In fact, if you allow me, I'm just going to select my if and remove all of this. And I'm sure all of you would agree, now it looks much simpler, right? But how do you see the result? So now do you want to see the result? Please watch everyone. I will select my sales QOQ percentage and drag it in tooltip. Oh, this 1 hour workshop is getting really difficult now, but that's okay. I think, it's a challenge, but we have to deal with it. So I'll say that once again. I hope everybody has rejoined. Okay. So what we're doing is we calculated the QOQ percentage, then I dragged it into tooltip. And notice very carefully. Sales in Q1 is 74,000. This everybody is clear with. Sales in Q2 is 86,000, but it is also telling me that the sales QOQ percentage is 16.2%. I hope all of you can see the number and understand what the number means. It is telling me that I have grown by 16%. Then I have grown by 66%, and I've grown by 25%. But from Q4 to Q1, do you see this? From 179,000, I became 69,000. So what was the decrease? Minus 61%, like this. If you don't want to show everything, you just want to show the degrowth or the growth, then you can remove the sales value and you can just show the QOQ percentage. And obviously some bars will be above zero, some will be below zero. This is the growth, this is the degrowth. Everyone? But what if you want to color it? What if you want to make the numbers above zero as green and the numbers below zero as red? So I'll go to format, and on data color, I'll click on conditional formatting, this one. And we will say that I want a rule to be applied. And what is the rule? That my QOQ percentage, okay, if it is greater than or equal to -1, which basically means minus 100%, right? And is less than 0, then the color should be red. New rule. If it is greater than or equal to 0 and it is less than 1, that means 100%. In fact, let me make it 2 so that it becomes 200%. You know what? Let's make it 5. Then it will become green. It's a simple logic. All I'm saying is that between -100, or let's say -500 and 0, which is -5% and 0, it is red. 0 and 500, which is 0 and 5%, it is green. And you notice now you will get green colors everywhere. Let me just check that. Between greater than or equal to -5 and is less than I'm sorry, just a minute. Yeah, right. So you notice working perfectly, and I can now make a slicer for my region. And what can I do? Remember, you can see that we have 4 regions with us. Let me just put a border so it looks clean. Border, shadow, and border shadow. It's a very clean report. I can just click and you see how for every region, I can see the result. I can see how many quarters are above 0, how many quarters are below 0, basically meaning profitable or not profitable, like that. Right? I want to show you a few more calculations, but anything you would like to ask till now, anyone? So what did we do? Step number 1, we made a date table. How did we do that? We went to data, we went to new table, and then we wrote this formula. Fair enough. Second step, we created a relationship. Third step, we wrote the measure like this. Okay. It is a bit complicated, especially in the beginning. But the more you work with it, the better you will get. Any questions, anyone? It's okay if you don't want to ask a technical question, but you have something else on your mind, you can always ask that. Like some people ask me, is this going to replace Excel? Remember, that's not the purpose for which we use Power BI. In fact, these calculations are also available on Excel. You want to see? Watch this. Like I've been working on Excel, and if you notice, I can create these type of calculations on Excel also. Do you see all this? This is all DAX that we are writing. Right? And how am I doing all this? I'm using something called Power Pivot. So everything that I'm doing on Power BI in terms of the calculations can be done on Excel as well. The difference is that in Excel, you have to do it manually, but in Power BI, you get something called quick measures, which helps you save a lot of time, right? So I hope, like I said, the first few times that you do it, it's not super clear, but at least now you're familiar with it. You have heard of it, you know what it looks like, and then you can gradually start to learn it properly. Let's look at one more, okay, so that it becomes clearer. What we're doing now is we will create another quick measure. And you know what? First, let me make a line chart, everyone. Line chart for my region, sales, and order date. Okay? And I hope all of you can see that this is a simple line chart, nothing special, which has 4 lines in it, one for each region. And I can see the movement like this, correct? But is this really the best way to show the data? I don't think so. I want this to look as a running total. You want to find the cumulative sales. Very simple. Right click on sales. I select new quick measure. What is my calculation? It's a running total. And then I'll select my date and look at the difference now. I'm just going to copy this visual. So everything is the same. But rather than keeping my sales value, I'm keeping my running total. And you would notice now the running total looks like this. So I hope all of you can make out what we are doing. Let me just apply a border. See, the first one is showing me a trend line, right? Let me just go back to my year like this, okay? What is this one showing me? This is showing me the running total. For example, the first one tells me, let me add data label so that you can see this clearly. The first one tells me that my sales, let's say for one of the regions, okay? For central region, it was 104, 103, 147, 147. What is the second one showing me? It is showing me how it has been increasing over time. So 100,000, then we have 210, 350, 500,000 like this. And if you expand, the first one is only showing you a trend. The second one is actually showing you your lifetime sales. So it is telling you that you started at a certain point and over the years, your lifetime sales have increased to 0.72. And let's say you remove the region, you can see this is your running total like this. And obviously this line will only keep on going up, while the other one will look like a trend. This will be a running total. And you can keep anything you want. If I keep my segment, then it will show me segment and segment. So this shows me how different segments are performing. Do you see how interesting this is? In the beginning, all the 3 segments were almost the same. But over time, you would notice that one of the segments has become smaller, one of the segments has become really large. But if I want to see this for my region, then I can check for every region. Do you see how the running totals are different, everybody? This is what a business needs to find out. Right? That's the analysis that you want to do. Okay? And like this, there are lots of DAX measures available. So if you notice, when you do a quick measure, so many different options. You have average category, sales from customer, time intelligence, totals, mathematical operations. Right? Let me show you a simple mathematical operation. Let's say you want to find the profit margin. Now we know profit margin is profit divided by sales, right? So I'll right click on sales, click on new quick measure. Our calculation will be a division. My numerator is the sales and my denominator is the profit. Simple enough. Let's look at the measure that it is creating. It is creating a measure that looks like this. Very simple, everyone. Divide. What is in the numerator? Sum of sales. What is in the denominator? Sum of profit. Now, let's say you want to look at your top 10 regions. So I'll make a column chart. And let's keep our states, okay? So we have a state and sales value. So you can see all your states here, but I only want to see the top 10. So in the filter, we can say that we only want to look at my top N, which is my top 10 states by sales value. And what will this do? This will show you only your top 10 states, California, New York, and the last one is Virginia, Michigan. Now, what do I want to see? I know that the values are these numbers, right? Let me also make it none so that you can see the complete number like this. We want to see the profit margin for each of these states. We know these are the largest states, but I want to see the profit margin. So I'll convert this into a line and column chart. What is the difference? Now I can also make a line value from my profit margin. And you can see it shows you the profit margin here, right? Let me just convert my profit margin into a percentage so you can see this clearly. That doesn't seem right. Why doesn't it seem right? Because this is wrong. There should be profit divided by sales, right? Not sales divided by profit. Yeah, so it's okay now. And you see such an interesting picture, isn't it? For example, you would notice that California is your biggest state in terms of sales. But if you look at the profit margin is only 17%. On the other hand, Michigan is a very small state, but look at the profit margin. It is so high at 32%. Now, let's say you want to create a line at, let's say, 10%, which is a reference point for the user. How do you do that? You can just right click and create a measure, not a quick measure. You will create a proper measure this time. And in this measure, I will write ref line because it's my reference line, which is equal to nothing. You just write 0.10, which is 10%, right? So what will happen? Now my reference line can come in my line value and I will get a reference line like this. We don't need the data label. So let me just go to data label. And for my reference line, I'll hide it, right? So this is such a nice way of presenting the data. And of course, the colors and all, everything is in your control. You can change whatever that you want to change. I'm not getting into all those details right now, but you can change everything that you want. Right. And again, any slider that you want to keep, let's say for my order date, you will notice that I can move it and I can see how it is changing, right? Okay. Any questions, anyone? So tell me, on a scale of 0 to 10, right, where 0 is very easy and 10 is very difficult, where would you rate DAX? Okay, so 7. Okay. So Shubham, 5. Okay, it is, right? So I would agree with you. DAX is very difficult. Let me give you an example. Look at this measure that I'm creating. It's called sales from new customers. New quick measure, sales from new customers, right? Now, even though the formula is being created automatically, you would notice that, look at the size of this formula and the complexity. Look at this. I mean, look at the number of things that are there. You have a if, you have a is filtered and error. You're creating two variables. You're using summarize, you're using values, you're using calculate table, you're using filter, you're using all, keep filters, variable and return, right? And then you have accept. It is very difficult. And that is the reason Microsoft has given you the ability of doing this in a single click. But I don't think that's the right thing to do. You have to understand how this is working. Simply clicking on a few buttons and creating the calculations is not good enough. In fact, if you notice, today I was spending my time reading this book on DAX. Right? It's a very advanced book. Uh, I've been doing DAX on Excel on Power Pivot, but the same idea. So I've been learning some more advanced concepts in DAX. And if you see the type of formulas that they're creating, right? So DAX can be very simple to start with. For example, the profit margin that I showed you, I'm sure all of you would agree with me that that's not really very difficult. It's just the sum of profit divided by the sum of sales. But some calculations do become difficult. For example, here also it makes sense. We are finding the sum of sales. We're using a date add to go back or forward, right? Like this. And then I'm returning this. But the more you work with it, like if you look at the running total, you will notice this is a little more difficult. It tells you you're finding the sum of sales. So far it is simple. Then you have to apply a filter. And what is a filter? It's set all selected. And then you're using a very interesting function called is on or after. And what does this function do? It emulates the behavior of starter clause and returns true for a row that meets all the conditions. So it's a binary function, like a if. It gives you a true or a false result. I will not get into the explanation of all of this, but I just wanted to show you that it is difficult. It will take time. So go slow. Don't be in a hurry to learn it. If you learn it in a hurry, then you will not sort of understand it properly. For example, there is something called context transition. Okay? Anyway, it's not working. So context transition is a very important and a very difficult concept in DAX, right? And they explain how context transition works. Like I said, the first step for all of you is to start working with Power BI and to start working with basic DAX. By the way, I am building a course on DAX, and I hope to be able to record it maybe in the next week or so. So do be on the lookout. I will also have some free videos that I'll put on YouTube, so you can always have a look at that. I think 2 or 3 of them are already there on YouTube, but if you are interested in more, then you can always look at the course that I'm creating. And I'm creating it for absolute beginners, so I'll explain everything right from scratch. Great. Right. So like I said, DAX is, it doesn't look very attractive, because it's boring, it's formulas, all of that. Let me just quickly show you. Yeah, I think my internet is not going to be a bit of a spoil sport today. That's okay. Great. Any questions, anyone? How to learn DAX? Just start. I think that's the most important thing. I've been working on Power BI for 3 years. I started working with DAX about a year back, and I also kept on avoiding it for a while, because I felt it's difficult. I can always do it later. But then I realized how much there is to learn. And that's when I told myself that, see, there is a lot to learn, and that is the truth. You can't escape it. But what you can do is to start learning early. The sooner you start to learn, the better off you will be later. Believe me, if you start learning today, in another 3, 4 years, you'll become comfortable with it. And you will have a head start compared to all the other people out there. Now, for example, let me show you, so that you guys understand what I'm talking about. This part I will not be able to record. So I'm just going to pause the recording for now. So all these clients right now are working on Power BI, and slowly they will start working on DAX. That's why I recommend that you should also make sure to start learning right now. Do not wait. And if you're thinking this is a very esoteric topic, not a lot of people are doing it. Why are you telling us to learn something which very few people? This is not something which is for a few people and for specific functions. This is for everyone. DAX is a part of, right, everyone. So what I was saying was that DAX is a part of Excel. So if you want to be an advanced, see, I'm sure all of you will agree with me that you want to become an advanced Excel user, correct? Wherever you're working, whatever function, industry, company, you have to work on Excel. And the better that you know Excel, the better off you will be. Um, but at the same time, if you want to become an advanced Excel user, then you have to learn DAX. Don't consider this as to be a part of Power BI. This is a part of Excel as much as it is a part of Power BI. Right? Great. I think that would be all from my side. I've given you a very good introduction to what DAX looks like, date table, the fact that DAX calculations are different. The same calculations are available on Excel. There are quick calculations, so you can automatically create calculations, but they're very complicated. So you have to practice it and one by one start learning all these things. And the learning curve is different because even if you know Excel, then despite that, you will still have to work on DAX, right? Great. That would be all from my side. If anybody has any questions, they'll be happy to answer. Anyone? Any questions? If you know the coding, then also you still need to learn it. Shubham, DAX has very little to do with coding. It's an expression language. DAX is almost like Excel functions. It's just that they are more powerful and you have many more functions available. But this is nothing to do with coding. Please remember that. This is not coding. This is not programming. You don't have the concept of loops and comments and iterations and debugging that you have on in programming, right? So let me be very clear about that. Visual Basic is programming, right? But DAX is it. So the short answer is yes, you have to learn DAX even if you know no coding. If you know coding, will it help you learn DAX? Maybe a little bit, but not really. Like if you're a good computer programmer, does that mean you are also a good Excel user? Not at all. The same rule applies here. If you're a very good programmer, there is very little connection to you being a good DAX user. It might help. It will not be a bad thing, but there is very little connection between it. Great. Any other question? Anyone? Excellent. So that would be all from my side. I will be sharing the session recording with you. Um, any questions that you have, we are connected on LinkedIn. You're most welcome to reach out to me. Whether you purchase my course and you come for my certification is a different matter, right? It's not that I'll answer your query only when you purchase my course. You can ask me questions even otherwise. I'll be more than happy to answer. Of course, if you ask me to solve your problem, I can't do that. If you ask me what is the problem, I can answer, right? So I'm not going to do your work for you. Is there any discount coupon code for the Power BI course? Um, Only for the Power BI course, there isn't a discount coupon. I mean, it's already a very low price. I've kept it at 500. Maybe Bhavish, you can look at the Power BI and Tableau combination. So, because then you can learn both of these things. Power BI Tableau is 500 and 300, which is 800. If you purchase them together, it's 600, and this is available on the website. I mean, if you're really interested in learning it, then I would recommend you get the entire bundle, because the entire bundle is only, um, uh, I don't know what price I have quoted to you guys. I think 799, is it? Yeah, I think that's a special sale that I'm offering. Let me quickly check. Great. So that will be all from my side. I hope all of you had a good session. Any questions, reach out to me on LinkedIn and I'll be more than happy to answer. I will be sharing the session recording with you and the details for both the IIT Bombay course and the other courses that I have. And I think I'll be doing more open sessions on other things, Python, Tableau as well. So just be on the lookout. Just follow me on LinkedIn and I'm sure you will see the posts. I'm fairly active on LinkedIn. Excellent. All the best, everybody, with whatever it is that you're pursuing, and be in touch for any queries. Bye bye. Have a good weekend as well.